Okay, so let's do another question with more variables here. So here is a new question here, right? It's a Weinberger Electronic Corporation, right? They produce some products for NASA, and they have different type of the the processes, right? And it gives you a table, right? Some students don't like table, but actually for this type of question, table is much easier for us to understand the question, right? It's very clear for all those information here. And also give another table for the constraints, right? With those table, it's very clear. So those are the cost per unit, right? This is the profit per unit, and this is total constraint for each of this process. And we have a minimum constraint for each of those um, for those products. The first step is we need to copy this table to the Excel. Actually, you need to write same thing. If it's the exam or the test, you need to define step one, X, A, B, C, D, right, as the products of each of those, and the wiring, drilling, and other two process, right, exact same function like this, and also the total profit maximum will be what times X, what times Y, what times Z, right, something like that. So you need to write out this for the test, but for time reason, I want to write that again here. I will go directly for this table. Go directly for this table. Doesn't mean you don't have to write it. You still need to be able to know how to write it. But if you can solve this table, I think you can write this out very easily. Let's create a new one here. So let's let us name A, B, C, D. Right, there's four products, and we have units. Units. We have units constraint. Let's move a little bit. So this is a constraint should be greater or equal to, right? So the constraint here later, and we have W, D, A, um, A, right, for processes. Let's put numbers here. So profit, and we have total here, right? And total here. Total here. Here we use a new function called sum product. Right? We want to multiply any unit in this wiring cost um, to the number of units respectively, right? This one times this one, this one times this one, right? So the easy way is just to do the units, right? Select them all and use F4 because unit won't change when we later calculate others. The number of units won't change, and a comma with the cost for the wiring, right? So it will calculate respectively and sum them together, right? So this is called sum product. Okay, then we can drag it to the right. Just double check. Right, let's go back. Your number of units times units profit. So this one would be our objective function, right? And we have four decision variables here. Okay, this is the first table. Let's go to the second table. Here would be sorry, hold on. Right? So and we have a constraint here. So those are our constraints. Constraints, right? Okay, so it's done. Then we just need to solve this problem. To solve this problem, solver. Right, first we need objective function here, objective function, and by changing the decisions, we can add constraints first. As every process should less than the constraint values. Right, that's the first one. And the number of units should be greater or equal than the unit constraint. Okay, so if it's greater than those numbers, we don't need to say it's greater than zero, right? It's by nature. It's by nature. And if you when you write the model out, you can ignore that, omit that, right? It's okay. But if you're not sure, you can add a non-negative constraint as well. You won't get subtract mark if you do non-negative if you're not sure. Okay. The last one would be change this one to simple linear. So okay. Then the question is done. Right? The Excel tells us to produce 20,650 for A, 100 for B, 2,070 750 for C, and 400 for D. And the total profit would be uh, 200, 232,700 for the maximum reachable profit, right? It looks like this big table. However, when we solve it, it's very easy. If you have this one, just move this part to here and transpose this part put here, right? Respectively, it becomes more easy. This is question 3.